Hello, hello.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Satsang with myself, John Homewood.
And Michelle McLennan.
Yes, good evening. If this
Everybody.
is the first time you've joined us, well, welcome to these Satsangs. We hold them every Sunday on Facebook Live at this stage. And everyone's welcome to join. It's not a religious evening, it's a presence evening. It's an evening of connecting with reality, with your true essence, with the spark of life within you. And we normally start out with an opening meditation, then Michelle gives us a bit of astrology update, and then we discuss a topic which for tonight is
Power. Where is our power?
where is your power? Where is your power?
Question.
Yeah.
Especially with what we're going through in many parts of the world, particularly South Africa, where we're experiencing quite a lot of load shedding. So we thought it was a good subject, also aligned with what's going on up there in the cosmos. And really these evenings are about helping you to just get yourself ready for the week. So it's a good chance to just end the weekend and to come into balance so that you actually enter your week in a good space. That's the basic idea. And we have a beautiful community here. So hello Margie, hello Paula.
Yes, and if you are joining us, please just let us know who you are and where you're watching from, because we like to know who we're speaking to as well. We like to know who's part of this community, this satsang, and we like getting the hearts as well. And if you find what we have of value, please press the share button, the like and the share button. And if you hadn't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to that as well. But welcome everyone. We're just going to wait for a few more minutes for people to join. And in the meanwhile, we'll just say for those people who are not in South Africa and who don't know what load shedding is, load shedding is our utilities company is running out of electricity. So they switch off the electricity for quite a few hours every day. And that's really creating havoc in South Africa at the moment, in that we're without electricity for 8-12 hours a day at the moment, and it plays havoc with these online.
Or anything online really, and any business who needs to work with an online presence or anything.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a challenge, and they're saying it might go to 8.
Yeah,
level 8.
Stage 8, level 8.
Which is I think 12 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's a good time to discuss power. Where is our power? Where's our true power? Oh, hello, Jan. Hi, Jan, from the UK. And from the way things are going overseas as well, it seems like there may be load shedding on the way for the UK as well. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
They've got more of a
some sort of resilience
or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's part of what we're talking about tonight, is resilience.
Too.
Yeah, resilience. That's a theme for our inner space community. We have an online community which we meet up twice a month with 2 90-minute Zoom calls. And resilience is a theme for January, which is based on astrology. Michelle sort of themes each month according to the stars. And right now is a very good time to build that inner resilience.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
we're
it
going
is.
to need it for the time
Hello,
to
Alison.
come, because there's lots of changes coming up.
Yeah,
for us.
big changes coming up. Yeah, so Michelle will share a little bit of that tonight. So thank you. Let's start this evening, as we always do, by bringing ourselves fully into the present moment. In the present moment, we are all aligned with life. We all connect directly in this moment, heart to heart. The field of life is only ever present. And we connect to the field when we are present. Most of the day we spend in our minds, and our minds are separate and disconnected in time and space. In other words, I can be sitting here and my mind can be drifting off into one time space, and Michelle can be sitting here and drifting off into another time space, and that disconnects us. But when we come into the present moment, our hearts connect, and that is the portal through which real power can flow into our lives. It's the portal of connection, of love. So we're going to talk a bit about that tonight. So let's start this evening out by connecting into our hearts and into the present moment. And we can do that by starting out by just look around the room right now, wherever you are, and look at all the objects, all the things that surround you. Some of the things will be very precious to you, some might not be. Most of the things that surround you have some sort of story attached to them. Just be aware of the item and be aware of the story. And then be aware of the item without the story. Just look at the item with no history, no future. Just look at it exactly as it's structured in this moment. Like a child just seeing the room for the first time. Just see the contents of your room through brand new eyes with no story, no emotional connection, no memory, no anticipation. Just the isness of this moment. And that's a first step into what we call presence. But now I want you to take a step behind the mind, behind the thoughts, behind the labels for the objects in your rooms that you've just attached. Who or what is aware of the objects in your room? It's awareness. It's not your name, it's not your education or your age, it's awareness. So now let's gently shut our eyes and keep our awareness open to just this moment, here and now. When our eyes were open, we were aware of the objects that were appearing in consciousness. And now we've closed our eyes, there are still objects in consciousness. There are thoughts. There may be pictures behind your eyes. There's maybe emotions. These are all things appearing in consciousness. They come into your awareness and they leave your awareness. But awareness remains. So let's just withdraw our minds from all other times and all other places. Just become supremely focused in the space of being, the space of awareness. Being aware of the thoughts that pass through our awareness as we would be aware of clouds. On a clear summer sky where you have these odd white clouds that float through the sky. Just allow the thoughts to float through your awareness without attaching any meaning or significance to them, without holding on to them, without going anywhere other than the present moment, just being here now. Becoming aware of the sensations that are being presented into your awareness through the means of the body. Becoming aware of the sensation of the seat or chair or bed or floor, whatever you're sitting or lying on. Just being aware of those sensations coming up into your awareness. There are these sensations, maybe of your feet, maybe of your hands touching. But behind that sensation is the awareness that's aware of the sensation. Just be aware of the sensation and then step back into the awareness. The awareness is a still emptiness. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get bigger or smaller, it just sits behind the mind. Unconditional consciousness. Or being. Being and awareness are one and the same. Now let's take a wonderful, beautiful deep breath into the body, pulling the air right down to your tummy, so you're lowering the diaphragm, pulling the air in, and then take a long sigh out, just a long sigh out, releasing any tension that sits in the shoulders or the neck muscles. Take another very deep breath in, right down to the tummy again, and then that lovely, soft, releasing sigh out. Just let it all go, let it all go. Now, how big the problems or challenges, let them go, let them go, let them go. Take a third, very deep breath into your body, filling your whole body up like a big ball now, like a big balloon. And then sigh it all out, let it go, just dropping your awareness deeper and deeper into the present moment, into the here and now, into the stillness that underlies all movement. Allow this energy we call life that beats your heart to carry on breathing you. This intelligence that digests your food. Just hand over the body's metabolic processes to this energy called life. So there's no doing on your part at all. Life is doing you. You're not doing your body. Now let's become aware of everything we can hear in this moment. Once again, the faculty of listening is not so much a doing, it's a being. Life enables you to listen. Life is the one that interprets the sounds and creates the mechanism for the awareness to be aware of the sounds. So just be the awareness behind the sounds. And this awareness is the stillness and underlies all noise, this emptiness. Now let's become aware of our hearts, and let's feel an expansion right now in our hearts. As we center into the field of the present moment, our hearts connect, our hearts open, and there is a sense of oneness in our awareness. We connect with everyone on this call with us tonight because there is a shared presence. Where two or more gathered, there I am. The I am expands in a group like this. This I am is powerful beyond belief. It's who you are. And when we become present, we become a collective. We become infinitely more powerful than us as individuals. We allow the sense of oneness to pervade our awareness. And the sense of oneness is called love. And we allow this love to flow through our hearts into the greater world, into the world that surrounds us. This love is the light of the world. One doesn't have to ever fight darkness or understand darkness or sweep the darkness out. One only has to let the light in. And by stilling our mind and opening our hearts, we become a portal for light to shine into this world, into our lives, into our relationships, into our careers. And what the world needs now is not more understanding, but more light, more love. And as Gandhi so wisely said, we have to be the change. We have to be the light. And to be the light is not so much of a doing as a being. Let's use the power of our imagination now to surround the world in a beautiful golden light. Beautiful golden light dissipating all darkness. Take another very deep breath in. Long breath out. And carrying that stillness further into this evening, you may gently open your eyes and just see how much more alive and how much more rich the world around you seems right now in this moment.
It's lovely, John.
Hello folks. Good evening, good evening. Hello to all those that joined when my eyes were closed.
Hello everybody.
And those who haven't said where they're from, please just let us know in the comments box where you're from, and click the share button because it does help spread the light.
Hi Diane, hi Alex. Beautiful to have you with us. Hello Taryn. Good to have you with us. Okay, on this beautiful Sunday evening, we just went for a lovely walk on the beach.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Beautiful.
Such a good way to end the weekend.
Yeah, connecting with nature is such a powerful way of quietening the mind and bringing the essence of life fully into our awareness.
I'm finding it actually not even a choice. It's essential to actually ground some of this very wild energy that's around.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're at a turning point in our history. One day in the history books, if they exist, they will be talking about this time because it's a massive change. And I think we all need to use all the tools that we have in our toolbox to actually help us to stabilize ourselves as we move through it, because there's a lot of change on many different levels. Maybe even if it's not happening in your in your physical personal life, there's a lot of change happening energetically, enormous shifts in consciousness. Some might even say there's a spiritual war going on. So it's where we hold our power as to how we get through this. So, and I believe that if we are in the place that John just took us to, there's a lot of resilience, and that's where the light is, that's where the power is. It's not out there. It reminds me of that Cremora ad. It's not on top, it's not inside, it's on top. It's not outside, it's inside.
It's not on.
The power's inside. That's where it is. That's what we want to talk about, and obviously we're in South Africa, where we're experiencing a lot of power cuts. I think today was 8 hours. That's quite severe for people that are running any kind of business or working online or running shops or whatever it is. It's very disruptive and quite difficult to navigate. So that's just one of the things, but it's quite symbolic, because that's why we called tonight, where is your power? Where is our power? I mean, where is our power in South Africa? Where is our power in the rest of the world? Where does it come from? And the reason why we're also focusing on this is, first of all, astrologically, in the next couple of months, in the next 3 months, from January the 23rd all the way up until April the 20th, all the planets are going to be moving direct, which means that that's a lot of forward momentum, because very often in our year you've got 2 or 3 planets moving in retrograde, which kind of slows things down. At the moment, they're all going to be direct from the 23rd. So that's, first of all, it's a big shift forward. And then secondly, in March, we've got 2 major planets moving into new signs. And those 2 planets are the 2 planets that actually came together in 2020, just before the COVID thing broke out. So this is actually, what is happening now is those 2 planets are actually moving into new signs. The biggest news of all is Pluto moving into Aquarius, because that only happens once every 22 years. And it's a big move, because Pluto is the planet of power. It's literally, that's what the planet represents. Planet of power, transformation, and alchemy. So when it moves, there's a sense that something's moving, that the axis of power is shifting. And that is one of the major movements that we're going to be working with this year. And it's not going to just move in and stay there. It's going to keep moving backwards and forwards for the next 2 years, until it eventually goes firmly into that sign, which is going to be Aquarius, which is, interestingly, the sign of freedom and liberation and community. So we can look at it as power in community. Good power, talking about. Power of the people. It rules the people. The people are, at the moment, the man in the street is asking, who's in charge here? What's all this control about? Where is my power? I'm feeling disempowered. And I think that's what a lot of people are dealing with. And how do we navigate these changes? Because that they're going to change, that's a given. Things are changing rapidly, more rapidly than we even know. So how do we navigate it? And that's where we would like to just be whatever help we can be as we learn our own tools of navigating this.
Yeah, in the past we've looked so much to the outside world for power, and we've given up our power to situations, circumstances, events, people, organizations on the outside. We've given our power over to them. I mean, if you think back to being a child, we gave our power to our parents, we gave our power to our teachers, for example. A lot of people gave their power to religious organizations or religious figures. We gave our power. And even more recently, we've given our power to political figures or to so-called health specialists. We know now, for example, that the masks had no medical backing, no scientific backing at all. But it was a case of testing to see how much power they could gain by giving us something to do that actually was known. There was no reason other than to test power, the imposition of power on people. And unknowingly, unwittingly, maybe we went along with that narrative. But as Michelle said, with Pluto now changing and moving into a new sign, it's now time to take back our power, to actually regain our power. So in the past, we've given power to things outside of us, and to regain power isn't to choose something new outside of ourselves to give our power to. No. It's to withdraw the power from that world into who and what we really are. And so this is a shift in focus, it's a shift in perception. The biggest war that's going on at the moment is actually being fought not with nuclear bombs, or hopefully it doesn't happen that way, but it's been fought in the arena of perception, because the powers that be know how powerful perception is. Perception focuses our true power in a particular direction. And I believe it's now time to withdraw our power from our perception of the matrix and bring it back into reality. And when I talk about the matrix, I mean the matrix of time, space, mind. Those are the parameters of the matrix. And the portal to exit the matrix is in what I call the vertical plane. So the horizontal plane is the plane of time, moving from past to future. The portal away or out of the matrix is in the vertical plane, which is timeless, which is presence. So the more that we can focus our attention of perception on actuality rather than the thoughts in our head about actuality, about the story that we hold in our head, the more we bring our attention and our awareness and our perception to what is now, the more empowered we become. And the less power we give to the matrix, then that starts to crumble. So it really is a case of choosing now which world we want to continue to support. Do we want to continue to support the world of time, of mind, of fear, control, or the world of presence, the world of presence? I know in my personal life that the power of now really has transformed my life in incredible ways. When I started reading Eckhart's book 20 odd years ago, first of all, it didn't make too much sense, but it very quickly did. And as I started applying that in my own life, I started becoming far more empowered. I used to be a victim of circumstances, and then I became a power. My own creative power was ignited through that, and I became the creator of my own destiny.
You said two such clear things there, is the applying of it. We can know this and we can hear it over and over again, but until we actually apply it, it means nothing. So this is the time to apply it. This is it. This is the time that we've been preparing for. So yes, things are crazy and they're going to get wilder. That's not to scare anybody. That's just the way it is. So what we think we know is going to change. The paradigms that we are so sure of are probably going to change. Our perceptions are going to change. And so where do we hold that sense of power? And I think a lot of the time we're looking for something, or we're waiting for something outside of us to actually make things better, for a savior to come riding in on a white horse, or the aliens to come and take over, or to be beamed up onto another planet, or whatever it is. It's not going to happen. So this is about finding it within us, and to realize that we are the light, we are the power, we are it. It's up to us. We're the ones that are alchemizing this. It's alchemy. It's changing one thing into another. The old is dying. It's in its death throes. And the new hasn't been reborn. It's in the process. And we've been saying this over and over, actually, for nearly 3 years. Because that's been this process of questioning the old structures. I remember doing a talk in 2019. Remember, it was called Navigating the Winds of Change. And yours truly here sort of gave me the prompt to go and do some talks, much to my reticence, but I did them. And part of that was navigating the winds of change, which was Pluto and Saturn, which was the implosion of the systems, the dying of the old systems in order to bring in new ones, the redistribution of power, literally. And now we've come to this point, which is now the axis of power is actually shifting. But we have to be participants in this. We can't be standing on the sideline and say, oh, well, somebody else will do it. Because we have to shift with planet Earth, with the cosmos. It's all shifting. So it's all about frequency. It's a shift in frequency. So if we aren't shifting in frequency, we're going to spin out. So we have to shift in frequency. We don't have to. But it's going to get very, very difficult if we don't. Because then it's going to be very intense. So it's to use all the tools that we have at our disposal, that we've learned over all these years, and apply them. As John said, you apply it moment by moment with each crisis that comes in, with each change, with each challenge. It's to see it as an opportunity and to say, okay, I signed up for this. How am I expanding through this? How is this helping me to ascend to a higher level of my soul's evolution? As opposed to, oh my goodness, I just want to go and hide in a hole. And we all have moments like that, where we do actually just want to go and hide in a hole. And while we're hiding in that hole, we can actually bring ourselves into presence and say, okay, I'm here. And the light's here within me. Yeah.
So in order to identify power, let's look at what disempowers us. Just think in your own lives what disempowers you. And there may be words like, for example, guilt. Guilt disempowers. Maybe shame. Shame disempowers. Regret.
Worry.
That disempowers. Worry, anxiety. That disempowers. And all of those exist as thoughts in your mind. And all of those thoughts are based in time. They're not based in the present moment. When you are in the present moment, there is no shame. There may be a residual emotion generated from your mind having gone into time. But in the present moment, if you're pristinely present, there is no shame. There is no regret. There's no guilt. There's just a sense of isness in this moment of peace. And anxiety and fear are generated by the mind leaving the present moment and projecting itself into the future. So it's the past that disempowers us and the future disempowers us. In the present moment we connect with something very, very powerful. It's called life. Life is only ever now. Your heart is only ever beating now. You're only ever breathing now. Life and presence are one and the same. And there is a supreme intelligence in life that is able to guide and protect you. So if you look back in your life, there was nothing that ever happened to you, no matter how bad, that you were not able to cope with in the moment. You may have been worried about a certain situation. Let's say, for example, you were going to immigrate. You could be thinking about immigrating, and that could be so scary at the time, just thinking about it, in 2 months' time I've got to leave and whatever. But when you were physically immigrating, you were in the present moment, you coped with it, you got through it. And now it's in the past, it's gone. So just to know that there is nothing you will not deal with ever in the future, absolutely adequately in the present moment. Nothing will ever happen to you that you cannot cope with in the present moment. It's the thoughts that project into the future that you can't cope with. It's your thoughts projected into the past that you can't cope with. And those thoughts disempower you. So let's just use the word mother-in-law. Oh my goodness, that's a very disempowering thought. Yes, it's the thought that is disempowering, not the person. The person is not disempowering you. It's the thought about the person that's disempowering you. So it's not that future disempowers us, it's the thought about future that disempowers us. And it's not the past that disempowers us, it's the thought about the past. So it's to realize, this is to regain your power, is to realize that it is your generated thoughts that disempower you. And behind the thought, there's consciousness. And if we withdraw our mind from the attachment to the thought and to the realization of the awareness that is the stillness, as we did in the opening meditation, as we step back into this unconditional consciousness that's just aware, that opens a portal for immense power to come into this realm and for you to empower yourself, because from that state you are then empowered to choose your focus, to choose your perception, to choose your thoughts, and to choose your emotions. Instead of the media controlling you, or your education controlling you, or your religion controlling you, or your parents controlling you, you become empowered to choose the thoughts that you want to think, the feelings you want to feel. Because in the present moment, those thoughts that you're thinking and those feelings that you're feeling are rippling out into the very matrix that creates reality. So as you become the awareness behind the emotions, become the thought behind the thoughts, you then choose a new reality for yourself and collectively for the world. Because this physical world is made up of a collection of thoughts and emotions fed by everyone. And in the past they have been misdirected, misfocused on what we don't want. But this transformation that we're going through is the empowerment to focus our thoughts and our awareness and our feelings on what we do want to make. And to have that presence within us, and that creates the ability to choose wisely, more wisely than we've ever done in the past.
Yeah, because a lot of us have actually had the belief that we're in control, and the more that we worry, the more we're going to be able to deal with what comes into our future. And this is what's actually shifting, because in fact what's shifting with it is that the more we worry and the more we're actually fretting about the future, the less empowered we are to actually deal with what we need to deal with. So if you're in a panic and something happens and you have to deal with it, well, how better are you going to deal with it if you're actually present and calm? And how well is it going to go if you're freaking out and you're in a panic? It doesn't go well. So it's the same about our thoughts about the future. And a lot of people are thinking about that. How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do that? And are we going to be able to manage? And it's the fear, as John always says, the false evidence appearing real, because it's false evidence, it's not real. Fear is never real. About the fact that you might not be able to cope with the future, whatever that might hold. You might not be able to cope when you get older. You might not be able to cope with whatever comes your way. So when you actually bring yourself into your true power, you know that you can cope with whatever comes. That is your true access of power. Well, I always often refer to it as that taproot. You're grounded, you're connected, you're stabilized in that true power. You're connected to the divine power, to the source. You are the power in that moment to deal with then whatever you need to deal with, whatever comes your way, without collapsing into a heap. And the way into that is not control, it's the opposite of control. So we've always aligned it with, I've got to plan for the future, I've got to have this in mind, I've got to have this in mind, I've got to line up all these things in a nice neat row. That may have worked in the past, but that's the old world. And this new world is actually about trusting and surrendering and the knowingness that you are it already. It's a totally different paradigm, and one which we've been training ourselves into over the last years. And so it really is time to apply, as John said, apply those tools. What are we focusing on? Where are we sending our power in any given day? If you're given 100 units, let's just say, of power when you wake up in the morning, and you've got it inside you, how much of that power are you sending into tomorrow, into your old age, into concerns about financial freedom or your financial future, in concerns about your family, your job, your country, your power grid, Eskom, the mother-in-law, how much power are you sending out there, scattering it into what John calls that matrix? And how much have you got left to actually animate your way, to shine, to find your way in this moment? How much have you got left for your true vision of what vision are you going to hold for this year? That's the theme for our first week, by the way, of A Journey to Freedom, which starts on the 26th. And we're offering a free week called Vision 23, Vision 2023, which is about where is your vision? What are you focusing on for the new year and for the years to come? Because this is the start of a 2-3 year process. And that's the start of our 13-week journey to freedom. And really, this is probably the most powerful time that we're going to be doing a journey to freedom.
Yeah,
because of what's going on.
And it goes through. Yeah, this course will take us through March and April, which are very, very important months.
March is a point on the calendar.
Big point. So the old world has worked very much through the mechanism of force. Force. If you think of the police force, for example, it's about force, forcing people to do certain medical procedures, to wear masks, for example. That's all about force. The new world operates on power and true power, and the one that encapsulates it the most is the power of love, where force will always impose its will on other people. Love never imposes anything on anyone else. But in that power of love, the power of acceptance, the power of appreciation, the power of allowing, there is infinitely more power in that than trying to force someone to do something. It's, the analogy can be placed on water. Water is by far the most powerful force we have on earth. And yet it seems to yield a lot. It seems to surrender a lot. But ultimately, it is the most powerful element we have on earth, is this water element, which is soft, which is malleable, pliable. And that's what I believe love is. Love is always soft. Love is always in a surrendered mode. Love is always forgiving, for accepting. And I believe that as we step more into that in our day-to-day interaction with the world around us, with the people that we work with our family members, with nature around us. I mean, many people get upset with the weather and they try to pick a fight with the weather. It's a case of appreciating whatever weather we have, allowing that, seeing the joy in every single moment of our lives. That is the real power which will transform our lives, going beyond the mind with its preferences and its judgments, and coming into the heart, which is the place of love, the place of acceptance, the place of appreciation of the beauty of life. That's where our power lies, in a completely different world of the matrix. I don't believe we can get anywhere by fighting the matrix, by resisting the matrix, by trying to sort the matrix out. I believe that it's by stepping out of that world into the vertical plane, which is the power of love, the power of presence, the power of being. That is where our true power lies. And that is uncontrollable. You can control the mind, and you can control your physical actions, or your physical actions can be controlled. But this vertical plane can never be controlled by outside forces. You are in control of what you feel here. And to take back your power from the situation, circumstances, and from the misperception given to us in the media, for example, and choose to come back to the place of peace, to the place of centeredness within you. Choose love rather than fear. That's our power. That's our true, authentic power, is the power of love.
It is. As you said, acceptance, allowing. Those things are, that's what love is. It's that sea of love, the sea of acceptance. It's allowing, it's appreciating, it's accepting. That's where the true power is, and then we find ourselves moving in a direction, as opposed to, I have to move in this direction and I better get that done and I better get that done. That's the old way.
That's force.
And many of us are still stuck in that paradigm because we haven't moved out of it completely because we found our security there in many cases. You know, we may even have found our identity there as a person who can make things happen, or a good planner, or we might have got ourselves out of some trouble by good planning, or by moving very fast with force. Yes, it's worked. Yes, it can work, but that's not the way into the future. So that's going to get harder and harder in the future, because it's misaligned with the energy that's actually coming in to our planet. This is not force energy. So that's why it's such a huge paradigm shift. It's a shift in energy. It's a shift in vibration. It's a shift in the way we react. Instead of reacting, responding. So it's huge. This is huge change, and it's been going on for years, for many years. But this is it's building to a point where it's going to become more obvious, even to people who aren't looking for it.
Yeah, the old world was very much about manipulation and control. And the world actually rewarded manipulation control. Those people who were able to manipulate and control the most were rewarded in terms of the value of the matrix, in terms of the thingness, that the materialism of the matrix. But that matrix is crumbling. And the new potential for investment is to invest in that which is outside of the matrix, which is in the vertical plane, which is in presence, which is in your consciousness. Invest in awareness. That's by far the best investment you can make right now. To invest in your true beingness, not in your doingness so much, but in your beingness. Because in that doingness is true power. The power of creation is in the beingness, not so much in the doingness. And when you start living in the vertical plane, you open yourself up as a portal for life to dance through you, to life. Yes. For life, this incredible intelligence called life that created your body in the first place to guide every step. And you will find yourself in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people. You are guided and you are protected the more you align with presence, the more you align with life. And when you are worried and concerned, you're living in the matrix. When you're at peace and in joy and in love with life in this moment, you're in reality, in the vertical plane. And that's where your true power lies.
And this is a process of allowing things to unfold rather than trying to force them to unfold. Like, we don't grab a plant or a flower and rip the petals open. We allow the flower to unfold and to unfurl into its true beauty. This is the process of allowing it to unfold. Jan just asked a question. She says she just connected to a vast sea of calm. How do you stay in that place? That is you.
Yeah.
That vast sea of calm is you. It's just to acknowledge it, to know that that's there. It never goes anywhere. That vast sea of calm is always there. But it's almost like we go onto the waves on the ocean. We become the wave. And then we think we're the wave. And we forget that we're actually the vast
ocean,
sea of calm.
It's a case of misperception. The world of form, the material world of the matrix, is very bright and very loud and very attractive and always trying to fight for our attention and dragging our perception away from the present moment. We find calm and peace in the present moment. And if we're not at peace, if we're not finding this calmness and the stillness, and if we're not in love with this particular moment here and now, it's because the mind has dragged you away from the present moment. The present moment is always beautiful, always quiet and always peaceful, irrespective of what's going on around you. And so if you're not feeling peace and calm, it's because your mind has dragged you into the matrix. And that analogy that Michelle pointed to about the ocean. So I see us as waves on the surface of the ocean. And when we are a wave, we get so caught up in the limited perception of self that the wave might have of itself. And it can be very fearful for a wave to think it is just a separate entity, separate from the ocean. And that creates anxiety. But the moment the wave realizes it's not a separate thing to the ocean, it is in fact the ocean waving, then it can enjoy the process of being a wave. The same with us. when we realize that we are not a being, we are being itself. And the being is the ocean, projecting itself for a brief moment in form, but we are the formless experiencing the form. And it's the formless that our true power lies, not in the form. Love is not a somethingness. Love is the formlessness that underlies all form. And our power comes from recognizing that depth of the ocean, while still participating as a wave. But we don't look to our self-worth and our fulfillment as a wave. We continually revisit the depth of life within us and know that to be our true essence.
And yes, it is a practice, Jan. It is actually a practice. It's an ongoing practice, because you're just bringing yourself. You're noticing. It's the noticing. It's the awareness that my mind's just taken me off, and then the gentle bringing it back, and looking at something beautiful, or breathing, connecting with your breath. So just simple, very simple techniques that you know, because you've done our journey. Those simple techniques bring you back, but it's bringing you back yourself back over and over. You might have to do it hundreds of times in a day, particularly if things have gone wild around you. It's to break, because it's the default. It's like having a default on your computer. The default is to go into the matrix.
The story.
Is to go into the story. It's to go into the anxiety. It's to, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, this is uncomfortable. This is concerning. Am I going to be able to deal with it? That's the default. But the actual real you is not the default. That you're changing the font. You're changing back to your real, true font, which is peace and love and presence. But it's to notice it. It's just to notice it over and over, and it requires patience. It's like training a pet, or helping a child. It's patience. It's retraining. But this is the time. Yeah.
Because the old default, the default that we've been programmed to believe as truth, is the default of time. Always looking to time to give us a sense of purpose, to give us a sense of identity, security. And with time comes fear. Fear and time are one and the same. And this is a case of discovering, there's another way to live, and that's the vertical plane. That's not in time, it's in presence. And then in presence, trusting and surrendering to this intelligence called life that guides us in miraculous ways. Albert Einstein said there are two ways to live your life. One is if nothing's a miracle, and the other way is if everything's a miracle. He said, I choose the latter. Let's start choosing to live our lives as if every single moment unfolding is a miracle, because it is a miracle. And miracles are not self-created. We don't create miracles. Miracles are when life unfolds, when we allow life to unfold in ways that boggle the mind. We can't predict. And circumstances come out of nowhere, and they support us in that moment. That's a new way of living, in a surrendered way. We're surrendering to life in the present moment. Yes, we can use our mind when necessary to plan something and to schedule something, but we no longer look to that planning and that schedule for our fulfillment, for our security. We trust the vertical plane life for our security, rather than the mind's ability to predict and to manipulate and to force change. The real power comes from the power of surrender.
And that's where the miracles come. And that's this year, apart from it just being change, over the next year we are going to see more and more miracles. More and more unfoldings that we could never have seen coming with our minds. And we could never have planned either. It's almost like we're being asked to, I don't know if you've ever ridden a horse, but to drop the reins a little bit, and to allow the horse to just, I don't know if you've ever been on a horse where the horse is going and you're in rhythm with the horse, but you're letting the horse go, and you're just holding on very lightly. It's pulling back on the reins and just surrendering and allowing yourself to be guided, as opposed to trying to plan every last thing, because it's going to be exhausting, because you're going to plan it and things are going to change. And things are not going to work out the way you planned them. because we are all in a particular place at a particular time right now because we need to be here. So if you're in a difficult place, it's because you need to be in a difficult place. If you're in a challenging place or a limbo place and you don't know where you're going to go next, it's because you need to be in that place. And so there's an acceptance there, as opposed to a fighting and a resistance about why am I in this place, how am I going to get out of this place. That might have worked in the past. It isn't working at the moment the way that it was working, because we are being trained in new skills of dealing with our lives. So it's really exciting, because it's going to be a very different reality when we move through this.
You were speaking earlier about default. Now, the default in the old world was always time. We always went into thinking, into time, as a default mode of living our lives. But the new default is presence. And that's really what our 13-week Journey to Freedom is going to focus on very strongly this year, is to make presence our default mode of living every single moment. Yes, we may occasionally leave presence, but we will make presence our default mode. When things go wrong, we come back to presence. Where in the past, when things go wrong, we go into the mind.
Exactly.
And that creates more and more anxiety and stress for us. When we make the default the presence, when things go wrong, we come back into peace. No stress.
Yeah, and that's practice. So that's what the Journey to Freedom does. It helps you it gives you the tools to practice it and the community to practice it with. So we invite you to join us for that. You can join us for the first free week, Vision 2023, which will also give you a lot of tools anyway, and it'll also help you to formulate what you want for the year, how you want to feel, how you want to move through the year. And then the 13-week journey is, it's a journey. It's a transformational journey.
Yeah.
Whether you've done it before, whether you're doing it for the first time, whether you've done any of this work before, whether you're brand new to this kind of work, this is the time. These are the times we've been waiting for. So join us. Join us for the first week and see if it works for you. We'll put a link below this.
Yeah, we'll put it up. Yeah. It's journeysofawakening.com. Journeysofawakening.com. The details on our website, and you can register now. The registration form is there.
Yeah. So,
you're going to lead us out.
Ahead. Yes.
And then we've got an affirmation. Do you want to choose an affirmation card now for the week ahead?
Yeah.
So we have these affirmation cards. There they all are. And Michelle's going to choose one and weave it into the meditation. And then we'll close with the meditation. Yeah.
Let me close my eyes then I don't. Okay.
It's a yellow card. It's a yellow card. Funny enough, and yellow is your solar plexus, your point of power. So it's very much in keeping with tonight's theme. So this affirmation can be seen in terms of your own power.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll tell you about it during the meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So just settle down, settle in, take a nice deep breath in. And a relaxing, releasing breath out. And another conscious, slow breath in. So as you breathe in, expand your belly a little bit. Bring the breath all the way up to the top of your chest. Hold it for a second. And then blow the breath out slowly. Blow the breath out slowly. Remember, when you breathe in for shorter than the long breath out, you automatically relax. So let's breathe in for 4 counts, all the way in. Hold it, and then breathe out for 6. Blow the breath out. And breathe in for 4. And breathe out for 8. Let all the breath go. Allow your shoulders to soften. And just continue to allow yourself to be breathed. Noticing the breath coming in through your nostrils. And noticing it leaving your body. No effort. This miracle of breath that keeps us alive, which we really don't have to control. Allow yourself to feel more and more settled, more and more still. Become aware of the sounds that you can hear around you. Just the sounds. Perhaps it's the sound of my voice. Perhaps it's the sound of the wind outside. Maybe it's the sound of your own breath. And if you listen very carefully, you might hear the sound of your own heart beating. Feel your heart beating. This beautiful life that exists in your body. And as you allow yourself to be breathed, connect with a beautiful golden light right in the center of your being. Solar plexus chakra is bright golden yellow. It's like a small sun. This is where we find our personal power. Which works with the heart chakra to help us to radiate our power out into the world. Feel that beautiful golden light growing within you and radiating right through your body and through the skin to surround your body in an exquisite golden light. It continues to radiate forever. Feel the presence and the power in this moment. And as we sit in presence together, the affirmation card that I drew is, in this moment, I have no problems or preferences. It's joyful to be free. Feel that joy inside you right now, where there are no problems in this moment, there are no preferences, and you are free. And the more that you connect with this freedom, this joy, the easier it is to connect with it during the day. This is where your power is. Take a deep, beautiful breath in. And out. And you can open your eyes when you're ready.
Lovely. Thank
nice
you.
Card.
Thank you. Yeah. In this moment, I have no problems or preferences. It's joyful to be free. Now, I know your mind will disagree with that. Your mind will tell you you've got lots of problems and preferences. But in truth, you have no. In this moment, no problems. Beautiful. Thank you. I'll put that card up. I'll photograph it and put it up on the Facebook page. Let that be your affirmation to guide you through this next week. And we look forward to you journeying with us on Journeys of Awakening.
It would be lovely to see you there, yes.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this, give us a little thing at the bottom to say how you're feeling now.
Yeah.
Any questions or how you're feeling about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Nighty night. Have a blessed week.
Love you lots.